Good morning everyone and welcome back to Mr. Bravo's workshop. Hope you're all well, and let's continue on with what we were doing yesterday. It's quite early in the morning, I haven't got my coffee yet, so we stopped yesterday because this one here needed to dry off. It is fairly dry, but it is very flimsy. So I'll grab my coffee and then we'll come back and we'll get started back on this. Now I've got my coffee, let's get into it. So we ended at section 30 where we're going to add this one to this one and this mast as well, but it was too flimsy, so I'll quickly add that now. So there we have that piece now on. Section 31, we need 4 pieces, 51, 53, 54 and 55. There's our parts, let's get them cleaned up. So there's all our pieces, we'll start to put them together. There's our first 2 pieces on. There's our next 2 pieces together, and then we'll marry those with that. And there we have it. On section 28, I deliberately left this off while all this was very wet and sort of not manageable. Now that it's all dry, I can now add this to the front of it. I'm going to suggest you give this whole structure a sand before putting that on, just to straighten it up. So there it is after I've just sanded it. Just made that front face all the same, and now I'll add that front structure piece. Let's get rid of some of that dust. So there it is on the front. On that part that I repaired yesterday, and I did a lot of repairs to that, it's not a very good fit on top, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop some glue over the join line and I'll sand them off together. So I got the glue on it now, just let that dry. Section 32, we need part 42 and 28. Just while I'm waiting for this to dry, we now got to grab this piece and put this piece on top of that piece like that. So that's what you should end up with, all those pieces buried together. I'll now dry fit these 2 together. And that other platform that I did not glue earlier, I just glued that on too, because I don't think we're going to have much room to glue it on after the structure's on top, so we'll just finish that off now. I just spent a good 5 minutes gluing this down and lining it up this way and then this way and then that way, just to really get that piece right. And now that it's right, I'm just going to go over and just re-glue it. Now that glue's gone off, I'm just going to file that edge just to make it nice and neat. And yeah, I do find these come in handy sometimes, especially for the small pieces you can't really get in behind. Just want to make this piece nice because it's a major piece you're going to be looking at. And I'll hit it with some sandpaper as well. So I sanded it off and then I just got some extra thin, just put it on top. Just kind of coat it all around, just to give the undercoat something to stick to. I think you'll agree that came up alright in the end, so that's alright. And now I've just added that little piece on top. Because of the repair, and we'd flattened it out and I filled the hole, I pretty much just chopped the bottom off and just glued that direct. And it looks pretty good, just needs a little more adjustment. That's probably about it really. So with all the mucking around I've just done with all those 3 pieces, I'm just going to let them go off for 15 minutes just to really harden up. I just dry fitted that. That's a really good fit. Okay. What I am going to suggest though, even though you're just saying it was a good fit, painting wise, I would not add this to this until after this is painted. So if you're going to hand brush this, I would hand brush this now before adding that. And even if you're going to airbrush it, I would airbrush the floors and then turn it over and put your colour on that way where you're not going to touch the floors. So quite an easy one to paint like that, but pretty hard to do with that structure on. You could probably still add this one to that one, that's no problem, because I've seen most of this being all the one colour anyway, so yeah, I don't really have an issue with that. May just the antennas to make them stand out, I'd probably do slightly darker, and even on the bottom structure, just make them slightly darker. So I'll dry fit these two. So I just dry fitted those two. Very easily fits on. If anything, it's too loose. But for the same reason, I'm going to say don't glue these together yet. I would paint these separately. It's quite awkward once this is all up there, but if you paint this separately and then maybe do the antenna differently, different color, sorry, and then paint this and do the antenna a different color, then it would be very easy to put together with no problem. And I already explained the floor on this one. So I would probably say those couple of pieces are where they need to be. So the next instruction on 33 is basically saying to put that superstructure together on the ship. And again, I would agree at this stage not to do that. I'm actually a big fan of not adding any of this stuff to the ships at all until after they're painted. I know the instructions tell you to do that, but yeah, I don't like that. So yeah, make them up like this, paint them first. The floor's already painted. We can probably dry fit that onto the floor and see how that goes. So there it is, dry fitted on the ship. It's a good fit. There's not going to be any issues there. They've got a little bit of leeway. So yeah, that's another reason why I'm saying paint this. Because trying to paint this on the ship is just almost impossible. And we want to make this as easy as possible. So we'll just leave that off. There's a whole bunch of ladders here, 44 and 45. We will put with their page number. So there's my little sticker note for that to go in my little box, just so I know exactly what's going on. They're all going to be painted the same color anyway, with the rest of these, just like that. So section 34 is all about these little boats. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boats to grab out. And we might also, while we're grabbing out boats, we'll do the next section as well. So we'll get all of them ready. I've been thinking about doing this for a while now. Some of these boats and some of these ships, they can get rather confusing. I actually think I need another one of these just for the boats. So when you take them off, you can put them in their corresponding sections so you know where they're going to go. Because after a while, when you take 10 ships off, you kind of get lost where they go. Sorry, that's not ships, that's boats, I mean. Getting quite a little stockpile of parts over here. The hull and all the superstructure and the flooring and bits and pieces. Slowly, it's coming together. Okay, if you're doing this plan, you're about to get very confused right here. It is very easy to get confused thinking this is one set of boats and then there's another. And it doesn't work out because there is only one 89. And I'm like, well, how is there two 89s here? Okay, so what they're trying to do here, which is not very well explained, this is kind of giving you how to paint it and paint it on this side. The actual ones you want are just here. So just don't get confused by that. It's, according to this, you need like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boats, maybe even 7. It's not the case. It's just, that's trying to tell you how to paint it. Well, I was just cutting the second 90 off and it shot off at 100 miles an hour, and to be honest with you, I've spent the last 5 minutes looking for it and I don't even know where it is. It'll show up when I don't want it to show up. Looks like the sail is going to be shot one little ship. One bolt. Section 36. Looks like we have the rest of the boats. We've got another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I got 3 compartments left in my little box, which is another reason I probably should get another one. That's the way I'm going to bundle those up, just so I understand where they all go. And that's all the little boats all together. So there's my container box full of all the parts, and these will all be painted the slightly darker colour, just so it's easy to paint and you'll see them easy on the ship. Because on this ship I'm going to go the majority of the colour light for the outside, and all the small bits and pieces probably the dark. So now we've got the boats sorted out, and we can't really do much with them until we paint them. Let's have a look what's next. So that section is 37. We've got to make up, let's open that right up. That's better. So we're going to make up, looks like some sort of gun or a small cannon on board and some more smaller ammunition. So we'll do those. So we need to make 4 of these. We need parts 74 and 75. So there they are on the bench. You're like, where? Right there. So they're all cleaned up. I'll just put them together. I'll give you a close up. There they are. So I'll just put them together. I think this is a job for the Revel glue on this one. So these pretty much go on. I'll see if I can do this while I'm here. So there's the other piece. There's a piece. Yeah. Goes on pretty much like that way around and on top. And it basically sits on top of there like that. And then squashes in. Or just sits there, either one. So that's what you end up with, just the gun just like that. Quite nice. So there's our guns together. And because it's Revel glue, we'll need a little longer for it to dry. So we'll move on. Because there's no mistake in what they are, we'll put them in just a generalized to be painted container and still in the dark. Just like that. There's our 3 anchors on the sprue, and I think we're going to paint those. We could go the dark or maybe black. Nope, let's just go the darker colour. It'll look alright. And again, no confusing what they are, so we'll put them in that container. So there's our guns done and our anchors. So we're moving on to section 39 now, down here. So we need more bits and pieces.
And welcome to Mr. Bravo's workbench. I've just wrecked up his recording.
What did you do? I can take it out! 127!
Go Geelong! Go Geelong!
I might leave that in there. Go on, do it again.
Shake, 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 shake.
That's just plain nasty. Good afternoon, everyone. It's the next day, and we're going to continue on from where we were. But before we do, I mentioned that boat that flew off to the oblivion. I found it. So we're up to section 39. We need parts 109, 97, and 98. Well, there they are. So I put them in there, and I also put the anchors in here. I'm going to make these black. Mostly because that's the windlass and a couple of, what else is on there? A couple of capstans and whatever else. So yeah, with the anchor, I'm going to make them black anyway. So we were on here, section 39, and we are on now 40. And I can tell you that the next page over, I think is the last page, 47. So section 40 we need 61, 60, 62 and 59. There they are. Let's clean them all up. Well, there's our 4 pieces, and I traditionally paint all my spiders in black. So that can go into my little black pile right there. And there's the rest of the pieces. There's our flue joined together, and in a few minutes I will glue it onto this one as well. So this flue is now joined together, and it's very easy to get these the wrong way around. There's an extra ring up the top here. That is your top section like that. So there's the next flue. I'll clean these up, and again I'll put the spider in with the black stuff. So there's both of our flues glued up. We'll join them to the bottom pieces. So there's our 2 flues, and I think what we'll do, we'll put them with the other superstructures to be painted as major pieces. Actually, no, let's bring them back because we need to bring these back and put these bars on them. And it does appear there's one is different than the other. Okay, so the first one is 40, which then goes into 42. And then, so this needs a bunch of pipes and stuff put it. This one is 41, pages 41, and then 43. They are slightly different. This one has holes this way and that way, and no matter which way you put it, they don't really match up. So basically, this one goes to the front of the ship, and this one goes to the rear of the ship. I would say, actually no, it's not, it's the other way around. This one is the front of the ship, and this one is the rear. Yeah, so this goes behind the main superstructure, with the 2 dots and the 3 dots goes behind. So I'm going to get those bars off and get them on there, and we'll paint them all as one piece. Oh, actually, would it be wise to paint them darker? Yeah, it would. So this one here is 40, which then turns to 42, and it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and an extra one on this side. And this is the 2 pins on the bottom, and that is to go with the 1, 2, 3, 4 down like that according to the plan. The other one is the 3, and that is to go again with the 1, 2, 3, 4 up top, and it's got extra ones over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, is it meant to go that way? It's meant to go that way. No, it doesn't. It goes that way. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, that one goes just like that. I will zoom in just so you know. So I'll go there. Let's stand them up. So there's your holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is a little confusing. That's why I'm putting so much time into it. So it's basically just 4 holes on the side, and that's the way it lays on the plan. Just like that. There's all the bars, and you will see they're all exactly the same except for the very right one here. And yes, they are exactly the same. So we need to get all them off. So what we're going to do is we're going to spray the flues the lighter colour, and these little stacks of some sort, flues or whatever, we're going to do them the slightly darker colour so they can all go in there like that. And then we can put those over there with the other colour. Okay, so this is now the second last page. So we got the flues organised. We need 91 and 92 to make up a mast. Let's do that. So there's those 2 pieces there. Now, I just had a sneak look forward because I did notice it was quite dark. They look like part of the next piece, which is 45. It's to do with a big mast. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to put those aside just for 1 minute and call them dark grey. And then the next piece is 94, 93 and 95. So that's 93, 4, 5 for the rest of this to complete the mast off. So that's section 44 and 45, and we're going to put that in the grey container. This one here for all the major grey stuff. So we've got nearly everything all done. We are left with a whole lot of painting though. So, but it's easy painting. I've got to be careful of that piece. Yeah. So here is our last page, and just for this page, let's work up from the bottom a bit. So we need 2 lots of 107, which is the rear flag. So there's our 2 flags, and I think what we'll do, we will put them in the black pile so they can go black on the end of the ship. So we'll do that. There's not many blacks in there, so that's not going to take much to do at all. Now, the guns look all the same. They're all basically part 100, 99 and 101. So we'll get those out, and we need probably 4 of those. So there's our 4 cannons, and just like everything else, we're going to divide this up into 2. So we're going to do these, the darker colour, these ones here, the lighter colour. So we're going to separate them like that. So that means these are the darker colours, so they can go in there, because there's no denying what they are. So that's why they go in this pile. That's it. They can go in the lighter stuff. So the very last section, we need 2 of 100 and... Well, there's 103, and the boats, we already got all the boats out. So basically need 4 of these, well, one is 103 and one is 105. And then 2 of the 110s, and we've already got the boats, so we've got that sorted. So we'll get those out. While I'm here, I'm just going to take this piece here. I think 10 is the rudder from the very start. I'll double check it. So there's our rudder all cleaned up as well. Now I hadn't put much thought into the hull. I mean, I know we made it, but I never actually thought about it colour-wise. And I am going to make the top half grey. But should we put a red hull on it? Interesting. I may. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this with the actual hull, because if I do the red hull, then I'll have to do the other stuff red as well. So that is officially that sprue finished completely, so we don't have to worry about that one anymore. That's all done. I'll jump in and clean these couple of parts up. They all need a little bit of cleaning up, so I'll do those. Well, there's our last few pieces, and I think you know what we're going to do. We're going to make them dark grey to make them stand out. So there's an awful lot of pieces here to be done. So we need to pick them up for one. With the tweezers. So they're all going to be dark grey as well. We've got quite a lot of dark grey, but we've also got some light grey. We got some black there. That's the book done. Because the next page is just painting and finished. So let's do a quick little recap. So we got our floor done and painted. We have our superstructures all built. We have our flues all done. But we do need to do some extra piping on them in the darker colour. We have our anchors and black stuff and some flags over there. We have our main cannons to be painted. So really, I think we're back to the hull again, because I quite enjoyed putting that last red on that last ship. I really like the red, and I really like the colour I picked for the prop. So there's, don't forget, our rudder too, by the way. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put the prop shafts on now, and I think we'll do is I'll prepare this and get this ready and painted. With the prop shafts on, and then the only thing really left is the props of the shell, the props themselves, and that's it. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4 props out. I'm going to suggest you cut these off one at a time and fit them, because they're different sizes. So there's one on. I'll cut the next one off. There's our second one on. We'll move on to the third one. There's our third one on. One more to go. There's our fourth one. And I think what we might do is we might actually, I've just looked at this rudder. It does kind of fit on. And I think what we're going to do is I think we're going to glue it on and include it in the paint job. So it goes on something like that. Yeah, it'll look alright painted. So there's our rudder on as well. Okay, let me just check out what's left. We've got to take these stands off, so I think we'll make these black. We'll put these with the black pile. There's our pieces off. Let's get them cleaned up. So these are our ship stands. So what I think, I've just cleaned them up. So what I'll do is I'll glue them together, and we're going to paint them in one piece like that. So there's our stands done. We'll let them dry off a few minutes. There's basically a little tiny track inside. I just sort of flooded it, plonked it on top. Give it 5 minutes, should be dry. I seen these in the sprue and I'm like, no, we must have missed something. So I've just gone back and looked, and we did 10, must have missed 11. So there's 5 pieces there, and they're the same. Got to come off in the dark grey. So I'll quickly get them off. So there's those 4 pieces that we need. One more, 81. What is that? And there's 81. Okay, so we're going to put them in the grey box as well. So I'll quickly grab those, put them in here. Big chunky dark grey stuffs to paint. Okay. So the only thing really left on the sprue now is the props, which are going to be painted in grey. They're not part of any of this group. So these have to go in with the black. So we'll put those in there. They should be just about dry enough by now. If not, I'll hit them again. So there's black. Got a little bit of black stuff, not too much. So what do we have? So there's the hull. There's some grey stuff. Glued back on the glue. The hull has got the prop shafts on there. And the rudder. So let's look here for a second. So we've got all our painted floor parts, and we've got all our superstructure here, our main armory cannons, flues. So what's next? Well, we need to paint this. We need to paint all the little bits and pieces. I don't know if it'll actually make a good episode, but I can certainly show you some of them, but not in this episode. So I certainly hope you enjoyed this. It's been rather good for me, and I think we're kind of smashing through it, to be honest. The hull looks good, the props look good, the floor looks good. I will give this a lacquer varnish once again, but in the matte for the war stuff, yeah, I think matte's the only way to go. So in the next episode we'll paint this, and until then I'll see you later. Bye for now.